This is just going to be a quick video here. I was totally floored by Mad Max Fury Road when I viewed it in 2015. I was a big fan of the first two Mad Max films. I wasn't a fan of Beyond Thunderdome for quite a while. And seeing Fury Road when on its release in mid 2015, I was involved in the hype following that film's release and appraisal as anyone else was. I was totally in awe of it. I still am, frankly. I think I still prefer Mad Max 2 at the end of the day, for whatever reason. We can discuss Mad Max 2 another day. Although, I was quite surprised to see how many critics still decided to name it one of the 10 best films of the 2010s, according to these critical aggregates. That's astonishing to me. I mean, I can list many reasons why I thought this film was spectacular. Let's go through that now, shall we? Obviously, the action in this film is some of the very best we've ever seen, and there seems to be more of an emphasis on motion, almost in a homage to the great silent era classics. But Buster Keaton's The General obviously comes to mind. There are, quick cuts like you might see to a nauseating degree in one of these Michael Bay Transformers films, but nevertheless, there's a fusion of these two. It feels very modern, yet it feels very classic and very much an act of loving homage to the tradition of cinema, something that was formative to the medium itself, trying to bridge to the beginning of the action film of the modern day, and it's timeless and yet so modern and forward thinking. It's a marvelous piece of work, really. It's worth repeating how someone did an experiment. They sped up several action blockbusters of 2015 era by excessive magnitude, and Fury Road still was somewhat coherent. It was amazing. This was the black and white chrome rendition/edition of Fury Road, which I've actually not seen. That it seems kind of cool but gimmicky. I mean, I don't know. I've never felt the motivation to watch it. If someone insists I ought to watch it, maybe I will one day. What fascinates me about Fury Road as well is how George Miller, he initially in the 90s, after seeing Akira, wanted to do an animated fourth Mad Max picture. And the end result has been Fury Road. This attempt to fuse the fluidity of animated medium with live action grit and realism and real world livability, that's not what happened in this film. Is astonishing. What a phenomenally crafted world. I mean, it's like George Miller has an A to B that he wants to get to, and he comes up with the most creative, imaginative, almost Baroque/Rococo Ken Russell and the Devil's way, and all these creative mechanisms and gears with which he can get to his end game. If he wants to imagine this troop of female nomads in the desert, lost in the outback of Australia, and he'll envisage it with all this physicality and all these details in their appearance, which makes them appear so much a product of everything's so realized, and he adds he wants to add as much detail as possible, because I think all this adds up to make it seem like we take details in our world for granted. We take a photograph of a random scenery in a suburb or someone's living room. It's full of detail, but we take it for granted. Fury Road recreates this from the ground up. It's a phenomenal undertaking. I'm actually going to address now some criticisms I have heard of Fury Road. Firstly, those who don't enjoy this kind of high-octane action film of the 2000s to 2010s, yeah, it is what it is. I happen to be open to enjoying these sorts of films. Hey, if the Michael Bay Transformers films were solely action sequences, I might like them quite a bit, but as everyone knows, there's a lot of human garbage in those films. That's my fundamental issue with them. I don't think they're particularly well directed or edited sequences, unfortunately. Um, Generally speaking, those films, regardless, I don't think Michael Bay is a fantastic director in any case, of action, ironically enough. one action sequence I heard criticised was when Max has a hand-to-hand battle with Furiosa. Someone described it as kind of forced and just I don't know. I thought it was there's a lot of strategy playing out in real time in that, and decision making in real time in that desperation in that fight there. I really liked that fight sequence personally. One of the greatest opening sequences I've ever seen in any film, and there's so many great iconic moments in this film. Fukushima, Karma, Crazy, War Boys, Witness Me, Mediocre. There's so much quotable, instantly quotable moments and memories in this film. Just the cars that ate Paris-esque vehicles coming in to attack the freighter, and then there's the big one coming in, and they got the war boys they've got these pulleys, and they're going from vehicle to vehicle like it's like a swashbuckler in the post-apocalypse. Mad Max 2 already was that, but this is it in a kind of animated, fluid sense. I don't think quite as the kind of grit and kind of physical realism of Mad Max 2, which does feel incredibly fluid. There is a more sense of realism, you might say, in Road Warrior, Mad Max 2, whatever you want to refer to it as. Nevertheless, there is still a sense of hyperkinetic, but still physicality, at least hyper realism in Fury Road. It's not quite fantasy. It's not quite just outright animation. It's not quite non-Euclidean, but it is hyper real, and it is. Oh God, it's phenomenal achievement in filmmaking. I don't necessarily. I welcome it if people want to agree with me in the comments. I want to hear reasons why it is not. Please, I remember. I'm just going to name drop. I think it was maybe he's changed his mind since then. But circa 2015, Bruce Isaacs of the University of Sydney claimed that the film was too animated for him. I think animation is glorious, so I have no issue with this whatsoever. If I have any critiques of this film, it's I don't know. Is it worth critiquing a film's lack of storyline when it just intends to be an action sequence? Because there is a lot of story imbued within this action sequence, to be fair, more than most films ever. And then the other critique of this film is just that it's no or not Mad Max 2. That's really all there is to say, isn't there? So do please leave your thoughts on Fury Road in the comments below if you're so inclined, especially if they're negative. I really do want to hear these perspectives because I don't hear them enough. I'm excited to hear them. Anyway, have a great day and night wherever you are. I hope everyone is absolutely well.